Hi, and welcome. I'm Steve Preston, known as the Career Catalyst, and I'm a leading career coach, internationally acclaimed author, speaker and broadcaster, and creator of breakthrough career and personal development courses. And welcome today to what was previously my Career Change Hacks live stream and has now been reinvented to be called Reinvent Your Career. And in the infamous words of Richard Branson, reinvention is something that everybody and all businesses should be looking at doing on a regular basis. So, hence the change of name, and also the fact that feedback from a short poll I did a number of weeks ago suggested that career change hacks should be less frequent. It was weekly before, and it's now going to move to monthly, which also helps me with my blended working lifestyle, as we have a number of travel adventures lined up for this year, everything permitting. And also, I don't really want to be working while I'm away on some of those trips. So, very warm welcome to you if this is the first time that you have joined this particular live stream in my quest to help professionals and executives to break free from career misery and do what you love. So please say hi and let me know who's out there, because I never know. I've still not worked out yet through the technology how to establish how many people are online at any one time. Um, but hi, say hi and let me know if you're out there and if you've got any questions for me. Now, this time round in particular, I've invited a number of fellow career coaches, fellow career professionals. Hi, Simon. Happy Happy New Year. Yes, and to you. My goodness, we're now February. Where's that gone? Great to see you there. Hi, Darren. Hi, Matt. Yeah, first time you've joined us, so thank you. Um, and it's interesting because I can see you on the comments boxes, but no, I've got no people appearing on the live stream, which is quite bizarre. But there you go, the wonders of modern technology, or the joys of modern technology. So this particular live stream is really about a collaboration, if you like. It's not just about me and what I know, my knowledge, my 20 odd years of knowledge and experience, particularly as a not just in career development, but as a career change specialist or career transition specialist, but also involving other people like yourselves who have either made career changes or help other people do likewise. One of the things that I'm particularly intrigued about is what's happened over the last couple of years as a result of the pandemic, which we're going to explore in a minute. In terms of it, I'd really like to get your handle on that. But before we do that, I'd just like to look at this whole reinvention idea. You know, there is a thought that people are frightened of change. Well, we know that people are frightened of change, not just in terms of career change, but people are frightened of change in general, which is understandable. But I'm intrigued as to why reinvention seems less threatening than change. You know, why does reinvention seem less threatening than change? And I looked up definitions of these, and what I came across is that reinvention is the action or process through which something is changed so much that it appears to be new. Now, that sounds intriguing in itself, doesn't it? Whereas change is to make someone or something different, alter, or to modify. So maybe the latter is the issue, that it does sound more threatening. So please put up your comments, anyone who's online, and let me know your take on reinvention versus change. Why is it that reinvention maybe sounds more appealing and change sounds more threatening? I and I don't have all the answers. I'm the first to admit I have lots of them, and those who who know me and know I could talk forever about this stuff because I'm very passionate about it. But the purpose, as I say, of these live streams is to help professionals and executives to break free from career misery and do what you love, and that's using a collective of views and knowledge and experiences from people who are live on the stream, or if they haven't seen it live, on the follow-up recordings. So thoughts around reinvention versus change. I'd love to hear your take on that. Now while you're thinking about that, maybe I'm just going to put up something else. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining again, and hope the book's going well. We will cover um, aspects of authoring books and publishing books and so on at some stage, and I'd love to interview around that in due course. So bear with me, Stephen. I haven't forgotten you. Right, so we're just going to look at this one. Now, this is something I've thought a lot about, and there's been a lot written about this. Why do people want to change career and reinvent themselves, and how has the pandemic acted as the catalyst? And particularly the latter, I suppose. So I'm going to take that off. What are people's thoughts around that? Why is it that now more than ever that people want to change careers and reinvent themselves, and what's happened as a result of the pandemic? So I'd like to hear your views on that, please. I have some very definite views, but I'd like to hear your thoughts first, and also any questions that you have. This is meant to be a Q&A session as well. So, and those of you who are coaches, I'm sure you will have noticed, or mentors as well, that there has been a shift as a result of the pandemic and people's thinking. So please feel free to let me know your thoughts around this. Certainly, from my perspective, while I'm waiting for some comments to come through, the three key things that I've noticed more than ever are the fact that people want more meaning, they want more fulfillment, and they want more flexibility. And the fact that people have had to work from home, not necessarily out of choice, but it's happened, and many people have decided that either working from home or some form of remote working is actually a really positive thing for them, has meant a big change. Matt saying your career and doing what you love are not necessarily the same thing. Can you elaborate on that, Matt, please? That'd be really helpful for you to know. Darren saying they reinvent because they are fed up with what they do or are no longer passionate about what they might have enjoyed previously. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. But why reinvention? Why is it that reinvention seems less threatening than change. This is something I'm really intrigued about. I mean, there's obviously a lot of psychology in this. Um, I don't know if Dave Caudle, if you're on the live stream yet, but um, I'd be interested in your take as well. Lynn's saying some people found their jobs were no longer tenable. They realised just how much toll the hours were taking on relationship and family life. I think that's absolutely fundamental fact. I'm going to take this banner off. I think this is a absolutely key point here that especially during the pandemic, if people were working in close, confined spaces, especially, it's became very difficult for people to separate career and life, and they are inextricably linked anyway. But also, it became much more evident if they didn't enjoy what they were doing, and it was have a much bigger impact on family and relationships. Matt saying it may well be that you need to change or reinvent your career to do what you love. It may well be that doing what you love does not generate enough income or otherwise income or otherwise not enough. Now there's an old chestnut, Matt. Thanks for that. Just gonna flash this one up. Yeah, interesting one. And those who know me well, and Matt, I know I did a talk for your alliance many years ago about portfolio careers, and of course, this is where the portfolio career comes in big time because yes, it might be that doing what you love is not necessarily going to generate enough of what you need to survive on. However, if that is part of a portfolio of activities of different income streams, that the sum of the whole is greater than the parts, if you like, then it can certainly achieve this. And a great example of that, I remember years ago, not long after I started doing this career development work, I was running a workshop for unemployed professionals and executives. And this whole topic came up about, doing what you love and so on. And it wouldn't necessarily pay enough to survive on. And there was a lady there who said, well, my passion is custom jewelry. But I know that I can't make enough money out of that to survive on. And she was actually a graphic designer by trade, by profession. She'd qualified in that field and done it for a number of years. And her take was that she had lost, even though she'd lost her job, she'd actually lost heart and interest in graphic design, and she wanted to change and do something different, but she couldn't see how custom jewelry was going to pay the way when she would go to craft fairs and sell her wares, so to speak. And at that time, I know there's been a big shift since. At that time, you couldn't sell custom jewelry for much at all, and it took hours to make the jewelry in the first place. Nowadays, with new technology and different platforms and so on, it's changed quite considerably. I know that. So I said to her, well, okay, just imagine then if you bring custom jewelry into a portfolio career, and if you can fund your passion for custom jewelry, maybe with your graphic design knowledge and expertise, how would that be? And it was incredible. It's like the light bulb came on, and she said, well, I didn't realize there was such a thing as a portfolio career. And maybe in that way, I would actually look at graphic design in a different light. So I wouldn't work for another company as a graphic designer. I'd be maybe considering being freelance and focusing on the work I wanted to do and the sort of people I wanted to work with. Wow, I mean, what a huge breakthrough! And then she could fund her custom jewelry business because she'd got that anchor, as I call it, and the anchor is basically regular income that covers most of your costs to fund her passion for custom jewelry. Simon, the pandemic has given a meaningful period of time to consider what they do and what is important. I'm sure you're what I totally endorse that, Simon. And I know you've been working with some people, and it'd be interesting to know whether it's had a profound effect on their thinking in terms of maybe their businesses. Obviously, don't want anything that's confidential, but just an overview with how it might be affecting people in terms of thinking about their businesses. That could be really helpful, Simon. So thanks for that. Matt, 70. Yeah, another life, wasn't it, Matt? Yeah, all good points, Matt. And some people talk about passion projects, um, and arguably, you know, a lot of these things are passion projects, and arguably a lot of what I do are passion projects. What I've done is mash them or mesh them all together, so that they become a key part of both my personal brand and my company brand as well. Lynn, the word of reinvention sounds like less pressure. That's an interesting one. Gives the option to discover hidden passions and follow a new route with less pressure and more time to explore. Change to me gives the impression that you know what you want to change in your career and life. Wow, we're getting very profound today, aren't we? So as we're getting profound, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to put that one up for a minute. And again, I'd like some feedback on Lynn's thoughts on this. And I'm sure to a large extent there's a lot of truth in this. So while you're thinking about that one of my Christmas presents, little gift I had, I still make manual notes. Not because I'm a dinosaur, because I do make computer notes as well, but I do like these sort of profound notebooks because they do sort of trigger some thinking. But this is a great statement, isn't it? Change is inevitable, growth is optional. I love that. Change is inevitable, growth is optional. Now, my take is that anyone who goes through some form of reinvention, in order to succeed at that, you have to grow personally. So it's not just about going from where you are now to where you might want to be, go to. There is a voyage of self-discovery of where you grow personally through that discovery process. And I'm not talking about professional growth here, I'm talking about personal growth. So you become a better person, and you're working on your mind and your mindset in order that that change can be more seamless, if you like. And most people don't want to do that bit, do they? I think that's a key part of the problem. People just want to go from A to Z, if you like, or Z if you're in North America. They don't want to do all the stuff that the heavy lifting, if you like, that's involved in terms of becoming more self-aware and so on. However, that self-awareness and that personal growth is what will ultimately make the difference. Okay, some interesting things from Matt here again. Contractors don't see themselves as having a career. So the term I'm now using is livelihood. Yeah, I get that, Matt. I think this is again something that's changed massively, not just with the pandemic, but over the last few years. And it's much more prevalent with younger people. And when I say younger people, I'm talking about maybe the 20 to 40 age group, who, similar to contractors, might do something for a period of months and then stop, go off traveling or following other passion projects, and then come back and then do more work. Or it might be that they're doing that as a digital nomad from some remote place, some far-flung place, whatever. So there has been a massive shift in that respect, which is why I talk about blended working lifestyles. Yeah, Matt, livelihood, I get that. But I use this term blended working lifestyles. So basically, it's a combination of work, life, and passions and everything else all thrown into one. And that could include voluntary work as well. So, everybody might call it something different, but I think it is a key aspect that people are now thinking much more broadly about work, as Matt says, and it's not about career anymore necessarily, because career is seen or was seen more as a linear. But the reality is, the old career path as was doesn't really exist anymore because of so much flatter structures. I talk about the career roller coaster because there's twists and turns and up and down, sideways, and so on. And a lot of people do choose now to take a sideways move or even a backward move so that it can help them achieve the working lifestyle of their choice. Stephen saying embrace change, welcome it. Yeah, absolutely. And Matt's talking about IR35. Oh, that's awful. Yeah. For people who don't know about IR35, either who are on this live stream now or who may see it later, IR35 is basically a tax aspect. And I first remember when I was looking at starting my business, going self-employed over 20 years ago, they were talking then about the impact of IR35 on the on contractors and different types of people who are working for companies or organizations on a short or long-term basis. So basically, it's whether you are, in terms of HMRC, considered technically an employee or being self-employed and so on. I don't want to go into all the whys and wherefores of IR35 because it's quite complex. But it's taken many, many years for IR35 to be more formalized, both in the public sector and the private sector. And it's had a big impact on the freelancers or contractors who used to do this sort of work maybe under their own limited company and now might have to do it under an umbrella company or through some sort of agency. But that still doesn't necessarily impact on why they do that work. And I think that's more the point. I mean, I know many contractors who are still contracting, still enjoying what they're doing, and still earning good money as a result of it, but they've just had to change their modus operandum, if you like. Simon, racing change is really hard to persevere. The change has been done to them rather than being part of the process. Yeah, absolutely right, Simon. And of course, that's the difference between enforced change, if you like, as a result of a redundancy or restructure, something like that, where the rug is maybe pulled, and change from choice, which is very different. The start point is different. The emotional journey is different. If you are making a change from choice, then basically, for most people, that change is a result of being unfulfilled as the start point. Whereas if you are going through an enforced change as a result of redundancy, the start point there is like to be some sort of negative emotions in terms of frustration, anger, and all these other negative emotions that go with redundancy, disbelief, and so on. So on that point, let's just some great comments. Thank you. Keep them coming. Some thoughts for you if you're on this call already, or if you're picking up later, and you know, and going to help you think through the process itself. So, what is your key driver for change, or have you already reinvented yourself? And I think most of the people on this call have already reinvented themselves and their career. And if so, what did you learn from the process that can help others? And I think the learning from this is one of the key things that I want to get across, that in order that we can help the wider audience, if you like. So, what is or was your key driver for change, and what have you learnt from the process? I think that will be very helpful to understand. Matt, reinvention is more inward looking and there's less pressure about personal choice. And yeah, blah, blah, blah. So with reinvention, you are therefore generally able to start freely exploring who and what else is out there to find that increased satisfaction. Yeah, good points, Matt. Thanks for that. Again, for those who can't see the stream, I just put this up while I'm going to have a quick slug of coffee. Okay, so we're getting some good thoughts about this change versus reinvention, and I'd like to think this is going to help anyone who's on the call, regardless of whether you're interested in making a change and reinventing yourself, or whether you are somebody who also, like me, helps people change and reinvent themselves. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. What I'm now keen to explore. Aside of why you changed or why you wanted to change and what you learnt from it, we're going to look at some key aspects of taking that a stage further. So anyone who's on this stream now, if you'd like to share what triggered or what drove your change and what you learnt from that process, that'd be fantastic. I'll just share quickly mine. while you're all thinking about that, what drove my change is when I took redundancy from my company when they relocated, and I took a very quick decision, life-changing decision, and decided that I didn't want to uproot the family to a different part of the country. It wasn't the right time for when the kids were growing up and taking key exams. It wasn't in our agenda either. And basically, it was a no brainer. So I took redundancy and decided to rethink my career. I had some outplacement support, but it certainly wasn't particularly brilliant. And I would suggest that to this day, it's probably part of the reason why I ended up doing what I do now. But having been on a government-funded course when the government used to throw money at this stuff, I developed new passions for career and personal development. And I realized that rather than doing consultancy around some of the work that I did previously prior to my redundancy, which is how I started my business, that what I really wanted to do was focus on doing what you love, my passions, hence exclusively focusing on career and personal development. And what I learned through that process, well, I learned loads of things. We could spend a whole live stream on that. But key things I learned through that process was that, cliches if you like, but that success is a journey, not a destination, and that in order to go through change, it is a voyage of self-discovery. It's not a quick fix. You need to go through a voyage of self-discovery to change and reinvent yourself. So there are a couple of key things that I learned. But I also learned that most people spend their lives in denial and they don't do what they love. They just spend their lives thinking, what if? And it can destroy them and the people around them. We've got some great stuff coming through. Thank you. It's saying, Matt saying he reinvented himself several times. It allowed him to play to his strengths as well as to get increased satisfaction from who I engage and work with. So, yeah, I think that's a key point. You do have choice in this matter. Oh, of course, that's another key thing I learned in my transition process. Everyone has choices, and it's the choices you make that determine your life that you ultimately achieve. Then recognizing I no longer felt valued by my employers, was being taken advantage of and feeling burnt out. Yeah, how often do we hear in that? And again, there's something that's been absolutely prevalent during the pandemic. And another reason I'm sure why more and more people are unhappy, unfulfilled, because they're being burnt out. Hard part was I loved what I was doing as it was making a difference to working with vulnerable people. Speaking to family and friends and mapping my values meant I was open to new opportunities, found a perfect match. Absolutely. And again, time and again, so much of what we cover in these sessions about helping people to break free from career misery and do what they love is about values and about being true to your values, or understanding your values first and then being true to them. Simon, drivers for change are seldom sudden events, although they're often associated with wake-up calls. Yeah, I'm just going to put that one up because I think it is very relevant. Yeah, it's a gradual drip process, probably, isn't it, Simon? That there's been something at the back of the mind there, the little chimp at the back of the mind. If you've read that book, that's eating away, that self-talk, and then suddenly there's a wake-up call that says, hey, I've got to do something about this. Yes, like myself, it was an option of redundancy or voluntary redundancy. For other people, it's been the pandemic and the impact of the pandemic. I'm sure of that. So thanks for that, Simon. So what are the key things that people want to move away from to change and reinvent themselves? What are those key things? We've had burnout, um, and I would suggest a general impact on health. I'm looking at my list here because I've made a list, and I want to see how many of these come up. So it'd be useful to get your take on this, because it's not just about what I think. So what are the key things that what are the key drivers that for people to want to change and reinvent themselves? And let's look in the broader sense. And while we're seeing what comes up on that, it's just triggered a light bulb moment for myself, because I said about most people don't actually do anything about their situation. They spend their life in denial, thinking, what if? Well, prior to my option of voluntary redundancy 20 odd years ago, I at that stage in my career, I was unhappy, probably for maybe one of the first times in my whole working life, because most of the work I'd done in my career I'd enjoyed, and I was happy to be involved doing that with the people I was working with, especially in my management career and senior management career. However, the last point in my career, I wasn't getting that enjoyment. As with Lynn, my values were changing to the organizational values. And although I was told I was really expert at the work I did, and it was really making a difference, blah, 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 I can't honestly say I was getting massive enjoyment out of it. However, I decided to stick with it at the time, because I could see what was unfolding behind the scenes. So I arguably I had a reason to do that. I could see that the company was changing massively, and all the different head offices were going to be merged into a mega head office in a different part of the country, and there could be an opportunity to walk away with some money, and that's exactly what happened. But if I'd stayed there without that going on, then I know deep down that I would have been extremely unhappy, and that could have had a huge impact on my future thinking about work, and that relationship, that domino effect of working lifestyle and relationships and so on. So all these are key components, and I often think about this. For those of you who know the film or movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, and that film shows examples of what could happen if you made different choices in your life. In that film, she goes on to she's on the London Tube, and she goes onto the train, and certain events then happen. But there's also the second part, or the other part of that was in that film, is if she took a different route that day, or I can't remember the exact um, incidents that happen, and then that plays out another scenario. Um, and it's interesting if you think about your career, what would have happened? How would your life been different if you'd made different choices? Um, if you'd chosen differently, things may have turned out very differently. And as I mentioned about my pre-redundancy situation, if that option for redundancy had never come up, and likewise, Simon, maybe for you, what do you think might have happened? How might have life played out? Now, I know that's a big um, question to answer, but for many people in that situation, if they had made different choices, then life would have played out very differently, I'm sure. What if you had taken the job offer that was really exciting at the time, but maybe was out of your comfort zone, and or you didn't feel ready for it, or whatever the reason might be? What if you did accept something and then you realize maybe that was wrong, it wasn't right for you, and it had a whole impact on your career and life? As I said, the choices we make in life define who we are and where we go in life. And of course, we don't always make the right choices, do we? But in terms of reinvention, then making the right choices is going to be very important, isn't it? So think about where you may have made different choices and how things might have played out. Um, if you're on this call and you're live, then great. I'd love to hear from you. If you're picking this call up on the recording, then also think about how your life might be different if you'd made different choices. What if you had started a business when you had that first gem of a thought at the back of your mind, maybe all those years ago, and then you thought, no, not the right time to do it? How might things be different? Certainly, in my respect, I don't like to have regrets. I don't think regrets are helpful in any shape or form. But I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd started my business maybe 10 years previous. Um, how might things have panned out? How might things have been different? Simon's saying one example could be realization that their values are not being matched in their work. Another is that they are not being fulfilled by their work. Again, the person may realize this after period of reflection, i.e., pandemic or coaching. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Simon. Absolutely true. Just going to cross some things off my list. Say values comes up all the time. Fulfillment. If you think about why are people unhappy, unfulfilled in their jobs, what are the key reasons why that is? And invariably, it's down to values not being met or being diametrically opposed, as is often the case. Nobody said it as yet, but the other one that has come up time and again and has been much more prevalent during the pandemic is that awful toxic environment. And I have to admit that I had a phase in my career where I was working in a toxic environment, and it's certainly not fun. And things fortunately did change for the better. However, Why would you want to put yourself in a situation that why you're being metaphorically poisoned, if you like, day in, day out? Yet people do this, don't they? They get stuck and trapped in this awful toxic environment, and they don't move away from it. And that's where people like this need our professional help, that's for sure, because they clearly can't see the wood for the trees. Another one which I know applies to some of you who are certainly live on this call now is being constantly overlooked for promotion. And this can be incredibly demoralizing, irritating, frustrating, and ultimately a source of stress. And I remember a period in my career as well where certainly I was overlooked for a promotion in a particular role where on paper I was by far and away the most obvious candidate, but as often is the case, the goalposts were moved and other criteria suddenly came in, not least of the fact that the people making the decision clearly wanted clones of themselves rather than somebody who was much more individualistic and had their own approach to leadership and management, as I certainly did, and proven it was very successful, but it wasn't perceived to be the right approach at that particular time. And I know others on this live stream have been in that situation. So constantly being overlooked for promotion is definitely another driver for change. And again, too many people hold themselves back by not taking themselves out of that situation. I mean, how long are you going to wait before the penny drops and you realize that unless the management changes, unless the leadership changes, then your days of getting promoted are just not going to happen. Conversely, another driver for change is new ownership. And it's remarkable how many times a new owner can come in and they have their own views of how things are done, and all of a sudden your thoughts on your company or organization, your values are suddenly very different to the values of the organization. And then if you're not in tune with what the new owners are looking to achieve, their visions and dreams, then you've got this collision course again, which is going to create a lot of unhappiness and lack of engagement in the organization. Yet again, people just hang on in there and hope it's going to change rather than actually working through a process to help them change. So it's back to both Simon's point about values and Lynn's. Not come out yet. Another reason for change is people are bored. Now, there is a view, I suppose, a counter view that says, well, you know, if you've got the luxury, if that's the right word, of doing a job where you could almost do it with your eyes shut, and you know, you're earning reasonable money or good money, and that you've got no real demands on you, no real stresses, then yeah, that's great. So just carry on. However, you know, how long can you continue just doing a job where you're treading water, if you like, and you're not stretching yourself? And it's back to our friend here again. Change is inevitable, growth is optional. If you're not growing personally or professionally, if that's more important to you in your role, then that's clearly not going to be helpful in the longer term. In which case, you're going to get frustrated, unhappy, unfulfilled, and all these other emotions that clearly are key drivers for change. And another one that has definitely come up as a result of the pandemic is the lack of flexibility. And maybe this is a final one to focus on. And it's remarkable, wherever you are in the world, and I don't know if we've got people from other countries on this. If we have, then please say hi and let us know where you're from. But on these live streams before, we've had people from the US and Australia in particular, and they've said that a lot of what we discuss on these live streams in relation to change and transition and so on are exactly the same in their countries as well. And people have similar frustrations, similar views, and similar desires to do what they love. However, with so many people around the globe being forced to work from home rather than working in an office environment, then if they particularly enjoyed that and embraced that and thought, well, you know what, this is something I really want to continue doing, for a much longer period of my career, and then the employer suddenly says, well, no, we want you back in the office, and we're going to have full-time office working again, then you've got a decision to make, haven't you? If you don't want to go back into that office on a full-time basis, or if they're not giving you an option even for a hybrid working model, which is the way a lot of companies and organizations are now going, where it's split between home working and office working, or remote working and office working. If you're not given that option, and that's really what you would like to achieve in your working life moving forward, then again, you've got a key decision to make. Because if they're making those demands on you at such a time when so many employees are craving flexibility and a different working lifestyle, then clearly it's unlikely that things are going to improve, isn't it? So, these are key aspects of what I believe why people change. Any more, I'd be grateful to receive. Another, of course, is I suppose this relates back to boredom to an extent, is not achieving your true potential. And if you're like me, and let's say it's just my take, my views on life. If you believe that we're put on this planet in order to be the best we can be and to achieve our true potential, then if you're not doing that, then clearly there's something hugely, there's a great vacuum, a great void in your life. And for many people, they go through their working life and they never actually even understand or realize what their true potential is. And to me, that is, that is a tragedy. That is an absolute tragedy. To be able to understand what your potential is, your true potential, and then to be able to fulfill it, surely must be one of the key goals in your working lifestyle. So I think that's probably a good point to finish on for today. I thank you for everyone who's engaged and got involved. And if you pick this up on the stream, please add your comments. If you like what you've seen and heard, then please follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me if you're not already connected. Check out my Career Catalyst website, Steve Preston, thecareercatalyst.com, or my courses website, courses.steveprestonthecareercatalyst.com. And I look forward to more of you joining me for my monthly live streams in my quest to help professionals and executives to break free from career misery and do what you love. So thanks for today, and any final comments. Hopefully I'll pick these up on the thank you, Simon. Thank you. These sessions are always thoughtful and stimulating. It's great to know. One of the biggest challenges of running these sessions is you really don't know how much value you're giving. But so your comments are very important. So thanks, Simon. And I'm sure this year is going to be a great year for you in terms of your own career and coaching practice in general. And I'm delighted that I've been able to help you on your journey and voyage of self-discovery. Thanks, Matt, and I'm sure we'll catch up again in due course. So please do share with your contacts and so on about this live stream and the fact that we're looking to make a difference to the lives of other people, other professionals and executives. Thanks, Darren. Great you could join me today. To say it's a collaborative effort. It's not all about me. It's about us all making a difference to the lives of other people for the better. So on that note, thank you again, and I'll see you all in a month's time.